What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Welcome to Control Camp. We're a community built for and by independent artists. I'm one of your hosts, Daraj. Alongside me are my amazing New York-born co-host, Eric Campbell, Steph Fink. I appreciate you joining us. We host rooms every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we interview industry guests and talk about how you can get your music into TV and film. So if you want to get to know more about us and all the resources we have available, go ahead and swing over to controlcamp.com. That's CTRL camp.com. We're one of the fastest growing sync licensing communities here on Clubhouse. But if you haven't heard of us or you aren't already following us, be sure to tap the greenhouse at the top and follow our club, and you'll get notified for every new room that we host. And we're doing our Campfire Convos, talking about how to get your music in TV and film and just sync news. And stick around because later on we'll also be doing a Q&A where you'll have some time to come up and ask your questions related to how to get your music into sync. And so before we get started too, we ask that you go ahead and just ping a few people who you think might benefit from this topic. And with that said, I'm going to swing it over to Eric to get us started. And we got some new folk on the stage too. I see Tommy's in the building and Teak, our regulars, are here. What's up, y'all?
I'm trying to place a bet. I'm betting on Steph. I got all my money on Steph versus Eric, and we're going to do pay-per-view. So,
I
Steph,
I
I
believe
believe in
it.
you.
I got all
I
my money
believe in
on
you,
Steph
Steph.
actually too. So
Steph, Steph, hey, Steph acts so sweet until you piss her off. And I ain't going to tell you. I'll be honest with you. I'm a Southern boy. I'm scared of Steph, for real. I'm just scared.
Oh no, that's silly because everybody who knows me knows that I just get real quiet and real calm. So you get scared, but I'm never loud. I'm never angry. I just go,
You
okay, I
never
know
see
where
it
you
coming.
sleep.
Hey, and it's one family, man. I reached out to Daraj yesterday and I tried to get him hooked up. I had a $500,000 sink and I tried to get it to Daraj and we couldn't pull it off. Frick, man.
Garage is in very high demand, you know? See, there you go. Now you guys know
Nah,
that I've
man.
been in New York for a
I
week
mean
because I just said,
that half a
get
million
a
is
flat.
just like that was good like a couple years ago. Now like our prices have gone up.
Oh,
So
my
it's like,
bad.
Nah, bro.
You
Tommy
holding that
called me
line
slacking.
tight?
Tommy called me slacking. I was at the gym. He was like, "Hey man, you got any tracks for this?" I was like, "Bro, I don't know. I might. I don't think so." But he called me slacking. I wasn't prepared for that one.
I love
One
it.
love.
Atik, how you doing?
Hey, Steph, Duraj, Eric, Jaden, Tommy. I'm doing okay, thanks. Just one of those days.
I feel like it is just one of those days for everybody today. I don't know if it's going on in the universe, but you know what? We're all in control camp now, and at least that puts me in a good mood. I hope it puts you guys in a good mood too. So, you know.
Already. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hey, Mike Boris.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Mikey,
hey
Mike.
Mike, good to see you.
Mr. Mike.
Tommy, good to see you, man.
You too, as always.
Well, I'm sorry. Good to hear you.
I
It was
love
actually
it.
go ahead. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead,
Steph.
Eric.
Well, I was just
Go ahead,
gonna
Eric.
say it was with Atik's intro and just it's a good time for us to talk about. So this is Campfire Convos. We kind of do the various table topics, all related to news, trends, insight in the sync industry, and so I usually will kind of find out what's going on in the news. But Steph and I was talking today. We just had the long weekend, and both of us mentioned how this was kind of the first break in a long time. I mean, Steph will probably go into more of like kind of how this was really a break for her. For me, even being around family, it wasn't necessarily a vacation, but I didn't really do any music at all weekend. I was helping my mom with projects, helping take care of my dad, like just doing stuff, being family focused and just really disengaging for a few days. And even just doing that, I found coming back, starting back on, I really didn't fully start back till like Tuesday, but I found a reset that I didn't know that I needed as much. I mean, I usually good about trying to get in a weekend but for me, it tends, as the weekends have gone, it's been like, okay, I'll try to grab some time on Sunday or maybe a little bit of time. Maybe it's sitting down and watching a movie and kind of relaxing. And so we really took note of how this, for us individually this weekend, was different, and probably just the need as creatives and entrepreneurs and solopreneurs or company builders, how this always hustle mentality kind of has us just going, and um, not always stopping. And so I thought this would be a good thing to open up because we're all in business in different ways, whether we're working at a company or whether we're working for ourselves. We're always kind of on our business is deadlines and last minute, and it's kind of 24 hours, 7 days a week. So just would love to hear your all perspectives on, what do you do? How is it? How is the struggle of getting time for yourself, especially when you have to do creative stuff, whether you're a composer or an artist like Daraj, or if you're doing business, like Jaden, Atik, Mike, like how are you all handling getting time? Is it a struggle, or what are strategies can we share? I want to have a discussion about that. And before we jump in, just Steph, I didn't mean to do your intro, so add your context too.
Oh, I mean, I think you nailed it, Eric. I mean, Eric and I were just having a very honest conversation because even Eric and Daraj and I talk almost every day, even on weekends, and we're doing, the club every other weekend, and we have meetings and all these other things. And it was the first time since probably October, I feel like, that we were like not kind of talking, or November, since we were not kind of constantly talking about stuff. And you know, I think what you said about not knowing that you need a break, because I'm personally someone, first of all, I think the threat of the entire industry feeling like, well, if you get a great opportunity, take it. You never know. This might be your moment, kind of thing. So I think there's that kind of looming thing that always exists. And no matter, I've been in this business, more than 25 years, and I still feel it, even though I'm like, oh no, I can say no to things. And I do say no to things. It always feels that way. I can never stop lying to myself about that, if I'm being honest. But I don't know. I think especially because of COVID, things have really picked back up again. They've, instead of like ramping up or kind of being consistent, they came back with a vengeance in a good way. But it has been nonstop, at least for me, like 6 in the morning to like midnight every single night, truly not even breathing. And even if I'm home with family, like you said, it's not necessarily a break because I have a 7 and a 9-year-old niece that I was hanging out with during my break, but not creating, not making music. I even for a few days, having 2 solid full days off for the first time in months, I came back feeling like I went to Tahiti. I was like, wow, I was writing better songs today. I was just feeling better. I wasn't as like, bitchy to my team as I try not to be. I don't know. I wholeheartedly recommend it. And I will take better time, especially now that I'm around Daraj a lot. Daraj is like the king of time management, and I'm always taking a cue from him because I'll ask him, like, kind of like Tommy did, like, we have a huge project you want to work on, and he's always really honest about his time. He's like, oh, I'd love to do that, but you know, I have these 3 other things that I have to do, and while I'd love to do it, I have to watch my time, and I don't want to promise you that I can do something when I can't. And I'm like, oh, I wish I had half of that genius right there. And it seems so simple, but it's hard to say no. Um, Jaden, Atik, Mike, I'd love to know from you guys, especially you, Jaden, first, because I know you're in another time zone. We've talked about mental health and stuff. What kind of things are you doing to kind of balance your work, like personal life, or your mental health?
I mean, I love that this is when I decided to dip back in and join you guys because I literally moved across all the way across the world from LA to where I live now in Scotland in search of a healthier work-life balance and what that looks like. Um and I've found it's been interesting. I don't have any answers, but what I can say is that with the pandemic, of course, and then just like instilling new habits over the past, God, year and a half now, like carving out weekends and really just emptying out my weekends to where they're fully mine, whether I want to wake up on in the morning and make music or travel around this beautiful country I live in or whatever it would be. I'm really finding that um it's as simple as it sounds. Like, I've always been a person who would work nonstop, back to back 14-hour days. With that being said, I'm on day 3 of a 16-hour day 3 of 16-hour workdays. Um, but I'm also learning that balance means something a little bit different for everyone. So like for right now with my team and the company that I run, I'm looking at what does it look like to start instilling maybe like a 4-day work week. I don't know if you guys saw the articles that have been coming out about all of the research they did on the 4-day work week in Iceland. I feel like it's just gone viral as of today. But like really starting to explore that and if anything, just consistently every single day put new practices in place, take time to take walks, carve out weekends for myself, slow down a bit, and just keep checking in with my needs. And also recognize that sometimes in our industry, balance looks like working 3 16-hour days and then taking a day off in the middle of the week in whatever way you can. So no answers here, but I am so up for this conversation and any advice anyone has because this has become my most important thing. Our physical health, our mental well-being. Without that, we're nothing. And I really got a tough lesson in that over the past couple years. So here we are.
Jaden, I love that. And I love that you just said something that you gave some advice. You said you had none, but you actually had a good piece, which is I think taking the day where you can. For me, I can't really necessarily always wait for a Saturday or Sunday, but it's totally realistic that I might have nothing on a Tuesday. So, I just take them where I can get them. Like for me, it was a Monday because it was a holiday. Honestly, people even gave us stuff that was due on like the 6th, which is basically effectively you're working over 4th of July. It doesn't really help. But we punched really hard to get everything done on Friday and then just said we're not. And, we left ourselves Saturday and we said we're not working Monday and Tuesday. Don't nobody talk to us. Like, and that was the first time in, I think, years that I've done that. I want to say hi to Jess before we continue. Hi, Jess. Welcome. We miss you.
Heyo. I want to go on your Colorado train, dude.
We'll talk about that in a minute. See, that's what I did, you guys. I just got off the phone and rode the choo-choo train. That's what I did. I highly recommend it to everybody. Atik, Mr. How are you doing? And for those of you who don't know Atik, not only is he an amazing music guy, but he is also a big advocate for mental health. He started a room on Clubhouse called How Are You Doing after kind of being worn down by a lot of people reaching out to him as a supervisor and really just not bothering to be a human, which we talk about a lot in this room because I think there's, little things that we can do to make each other not feel like we need so much vacation, just by treating each other like humans. So, Atik, I'm curious about your thoughts on the subject.
About finding balance? Ooh.
Yeah, what kind of things do you do to kind of find balance, or especially when things are super busy and with a kind of high pressure
I
job?
don't. That's my biggest issue. I think in the last couple of years I've gotten better about it by going to shows and doing stuff, but generally I think I was telling someone I returned to work, so I'm at work right now, but I end up staying till like 10:30 at night. So I'm here like 12 hours a day. So like I've fallen into the habit of staying late at work. Just working on various things, just not, music stuff, but also for the ERGs that I'm a part of, and I'm part of the culture community. So finding balance for me has always been hard. I think that was also a struggle during the pandemic because all of like the shows and everything went away, the events, and I would go do those things so I could leave work early, and but still not having a lot of that stuff, I'm struggling with it. But to your point about mental health, I'll be very honest and open. I actually started seeing a therapist just because some other stuff too. But I think we could all benefit from that, from the mental health aspect of it. And I think I think that one of the things that I've learned and am learning is like, gotta forgive yourself and learn how to unconditionally love yourself. So I'm working on that. That's a process, but it's difficult. And today I'm just having one of those days, unfortunately. But balance, I'm still working on it. I've been trying to find that balance forever. My parents and siblings used to always joke, "You're always going to pick work over everything else." So
Well, I
that is
think
my 2 cents on that.
admitting it is half the battle, right? I think saying it out loud, and I love Thank you for being so forthcoming with us, because I think that's the entire point, or I hope, of this room, is that we can share all the things. I think the more that we all share with each other, the less in a vacuum we feel and the less shitty we feel, because we go, oh, everybody sort of feels this way sometimes or all the time, or many times. So I think that's really helpful. So I appreciate that. And I think, you know, there's lots of different ways to do. I think therapy is a great option. Whatever makes you feel good. Family, therapy, meditation, you know, all the
Yeah,
things.
for sure. I mean, honestly, one of the things for me, and people that know me really well know that my nieces and nephews are a big part of my life. So I think them that really does ground me. And the oldest they're twins and they're 13 now, and they text me and call me, and you know, and just have such a great relationship with them, and that definitely grounds me. So I'm blessed with that in that regard. But yeah, the mental health thing, and just I've always been pretty open about my stuff. I don't try to hide anything. I try to be genuine, at least. I don't want to say authentic, but I try to be true to myself, at least. So
That's
You're authentic. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just going to say that that's part of even my question in the discussion is that I don't wouldn't say that I'm somebody that has balance. I definitely prioritize music, and I've always done it to at the expense of other stuff. Like I haven't worked out in a few weeks, and I try to work those things, and it's something I'm always wrestling with. So I'm always trying to revise my workout schedule and trying to fit it in. But I posed the question not to say, okay, we have to have balance. I kind of want to have a discussion around what's realistic, and we are always getting deadlines. We're juggling different campaigns, we're juggling different types of opportunities. We might be working on one thing, but also we've got two or three other leads someplace else, and so we're chasing that as on top of family, social, whatever. And so it's more of a question of realistically, where are we? What do we do for those who are finding balance? How do you do it? Let's all share some tips, and let's just share also what the struggle is, and so we can get a gauge on what's realistic and what's the right expectation. So I definitely appreciate that, Atik and Jaden. I know Mike, you flashed a little earlier. I don't know if you had something you wanted to add. Oh, Mike, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, man. I'm actually horrible at the work-life balance. Intellectually, I know all the things I can do, but I'm going on year 8 or 9 of just being an entrepreneur in business for myself. So I just say yes to everything, and when I'm not busy, I get stressed out because nothing's going on, and I need to make shit happen. So I'm kind of like always going. Um, but realistically, I mean, I do know all the things I should do, and I don't do them. I have a family to support, and that's kind of like been my vibe for the last 8 or 9 years. I look at I break it down kind of primitive. I look at myself as a hunter. I get up in the morning, I kind of grab my spear, and I go out hunting. And the end of the day, we see what's going on. Um, but one thing I do is I try to be realistic about what I can do. Um, I keep my yoga practice alive. So when I go take a yoga class, it's like, that's it. The phone doesn't come in the room with me, and it's down for an hour, not 3 hours, not the whole day, an hour. And if it's an hour, 15-minute class, I might start stressing out and, reaching for it. Um, I meditate quite a bit, but I only do like 10 minutes at a time, because after 10 minutes, I feel like it's too much time and I might be missing something. But that 10 minutes kind of centers me when my brain's spinning around in circles. Um, so that's what I try to do. I try to be realistic and at least do something.
I love
I
that.
think,
Go ahead,
yeah,
Steph.
agreed. No, those your tricks are my favorite tricks. Like, I actually admit that like an hour of anything stresses me out. Like, and like the thought of being able to shut off like that excites me, but never works. But it wasn't until this year where I would even take like 10 minutes. Like, I really started carving out time. And actually, I'm such a nerd now. I write everything down, which I never did before. I write everything down, even, and I schedule even 10-minute breaks. I schedule stuff by like the minute. I even schedule lunch, because if I don't, I find that I will generally just not eat, and everybody knows how much I love food. So like for me to not eat, it's crazy, but it's true. I love writing stuff down. That's a trick that was taught to me recently. I actually learned it from a LinkedIn some entrepreneur, Brian Malouf, who I don't know if you guys know him. He's a really great mix engineer, sent me to some LinkedIn thing that he was doing, and I got advertised to some like entrepreneur, thing, and I clicked in for a second, and then there was this woman talking about like tools and tricks and all this kind of stuff that we're talking about now, just as it pertains to like life and business in general. And she was like, "Hey, I read everything down," and I was like, "Well, I don't know if that'll work, but life's getting pretty crazy. Let's try it." And I started doing it about 6 months ago. Best thing I ever did. If you asked me 7 months ago, I would have been like, "You're nuts." But I tried it, and I think that's the other thing too. Just keep trying stuff. I think when it comes to mental health and stuff like that, throw spaghetti at the wall. I think you'll be surprised. I never meditated until Jizzle, who you guys know. She does this great thing called Zen Thug, and she did 30 days of meditation. And because it was Jizzle and I'll never let her down, I was like, all right, we're doing this. And it was just 10 minutes of group meditation that we would do. And they would do them once a week, but you were supposed to do it every day. I committed to it because it was her. I'm real good at doing things for other people. So if that's what it takes for you to get it done, find accountability partners. That's another thing. People who have your best interests.
I like that you said that, Steph. I think the whole kind of throwing, spaghetti kind of against the wall metaphor, because I know even for me, like it's been a journey of like trying to get, feel, and I'm still not where I would like to be at, but I know where I was and just how I enjoy certain dynamics, how things are now. But it's like just the years of just trying different things that work didn't work, and then sometimes like it's weird because it seems like you can't even predict when things just click and that thing kind of like goes into motion the way it needs to, as far as just like I get it now, because some of the stuff like that I was kind of putting into practice last year kind of really helped me like leaps and bounds, and it's not new things, what I mean. Like for me, it's not stuff that I didn't know, but I just, for whatever reason, this particular time at this age in my my life, it just clicked. And it was too like kind of surrounded by like community and the narrative I was telling myself and all these other kind of things, but also like, and also too, I love the whole writing it down. I think when there are kind of clear goals and what that carrot is in front of you, sometimes that's a good starting place to then just break it down and say like, how can I like achieve whatever this is, and even just even if it's for a certain amount of time, and say like, I think this might be where I want to go. Let me give myself a time frame to try it out and see if it works, and pivot if not. But yeah, it's I feel like those personal boundaries, like all of the stuff was saying, like the accountability helps to create those boundaries for us. Like I think, writing things down, setting clear goals, and creating just, an easy step by step. Like I think this is what it's going to take, and keep asking questions, and also it's just like, if it's never been done before, I think just asking the question, like if this were to be true, like if I did want to work this many hours and make this much or whatever, what would need to be true? Like what's the norm? And is there a way within that I might be able to, try something new? And is this the actual fit for me? You know what I mean? Like, is what I'm seeing, all the data I'm getting, really, telling me that, if I'm looking for this kind of result, that it might be actual, you know what I mean? And so, but I do think it's a journey, you know what I mean? I think the more we keep encouraging ourselves and giving, ourselves just like a pat on the back and just keep trying, you know what I mean? Like don't, um, I guess get too hard on ourselves for just trying, to, better our lives and, create that lane for us and stuff like that. Cause I think a lot of times we're just too hard on ourselves. Like, we're not getting to where we want to be, but it's like, yo, you're doing good. It's like, you're looking, like everything that you're learning is adding value to your life one way or other. Like it'll be useful at some point in time. So it's never a loss. It's never a failure. It's just like a learned experience.
That is so cool. Uh, really good points all around. Want to bring Mia into the conversation. How are you doing, Mia? Is this your first time on stage, or have you been here before?
I've been here a few times before, but I've usually had to run. But it's interesting. I'm just getting off my work day, but this conversation has been something that's been on my mind for weeks. I just graduated from college, so when you come out, as Steph said earlier, you have this mentality of like, this might be your big break. You got to take every opportunity. And so for me, it's been like how to find time for myself while giving my all while I'm trying to make things happen. So I'm really happy to be a part of this conversation.
That is, yeah, awesome. And so for those who don't know you, tell us a little, tell them a little bit about yourself. I see some in your profile, but give your like 60-second intro.
Yeah, so I went to college to study film and digital media and ended up falling in love with music. And I played piano as a kid and just never thought of a career in film and music together. And all of a sudden, just kind of started chugging along towards music supervision. I started working back in January on Tyler Perry's projects under the music supervisor. And then all of a sudden, things just took a turn, and I kind of got a little bit more into editorial. So I've been doing assistant music editorial work on a bunch of TV shows, non-union and union. And then I've been working at Masterclass on their music creative side, building out what they hope to kind of form into their larger music department long term. So I've been all over, and I just got another job this past Friday, actually. So I'm working like 60-hour weeks. So this conversation really does pertain to my mental health, because working 60-hour weeks, it is hard to find that time to really put towards yourself. And like Mike said, yoga, putting down your phone for an hour. For me, it's making sure I use my legs and get outside and really just put my phone away and focus on my surroundings. But knowing when to step away, I think, is something I've been appreciatively good at, and knowing kind of when it's time to go to bed and not to stress out. And I think what Steph said of writing things down can really help you do that, because you write down your goals for the day and you get them done, and you close the book and you start again the next day.
So Mia, this is awesome. Let me ask a question, because with you coming out of college and tackling all these different opportunities, and then go back to what Mike said about being an entrepreneur, built with this company for the last 8 years, and really feeling like, he's got to be the hunter and got to go out and make the deals happen and come home with the results. And I can relate to that from an entrepreneurial perspective. Do you feel like you're doing all of these things because you want to chase every opportunity? Like, what's leading to the multiple stuff for you personally? What's the drive for you?
For me, it comes from the excitement of the project. I acknowledge now that I'm more targeted, so I only do take projects that I am interested in, and I really do like to take on projects that will teach me something. And since I still am young, that's been my main goal, is to choose companies that will push me beyond the boundaries I've already come to. And so every job I've taken on has always provided me with a lesson. The music editor who I'm currently working with, he took me on to shadow him, and then things got really crazy when vaccines started to be distributed, and all of a sudden he had 6 shows and he needed an assistant. And so I'm not the most talented music editor. I know how to work DAWs, but for me that was a huge learning experience and challenge, which I was ready to take on. And so that was why I took that opportunity. Similarly, with the new job I just took on, is I really like challenges that push me to kind of go back and rework things that I don't know super well and become an expert in it. And so I've been very lucky to recently only accept jobs that I'm truly interested in. And I've also been very lucky in that people are very understanding of my schedule. But it has become very, very hard, I would say, to kind of decide what the right opportunities to take are and when to say no. And that is something I am trying to work through myself, is learning, when you're burning yourself out and when it is time to step back and take a break. And so for me, I also look at it long term. So I say, all right, I'm going to give myself to these 3 jobs for 3 or 4 months, and then I'm going to really just try to get a full-time singular job. And so putting a time frame on it has always been super helpful for me, not giving yourself like 3 years of this, don't ever overwork yourself like this, but definitely giving spurts of this I think is good, and it kind of motivates me to look towards the future and other projects.
I like that a lot.
Me.
Go ahead, Steph.
Oh no, me too. And Mia, I think you had a couple of really important points in there that I don't want to glaze over, which is starting backwards. Go for the sprint. It's not always, this marathon grind that we kind of all are running all the time. I know that's the opposite of the famous saying, it's a sprint. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But I actually agree with you where it's like, take those times. Jason, who's on our team, who comes up here sometimes, we were just talking about this, where it's like, it feels like sometimes it can feel like there's like a 3 alarm fire all the time, because we get so many calls, especially recently, where people especially over COVID, where there was less and less boundaries with people. It used to be like a start and an end to the workday, especially in Los Angeles, which is not that way in New York. But there were like at 6 o'clock, you'd stop getting emails, you'd stop getting calls, kind of things, or you'd get less of them than you did if you were in New York. That was a big change for me when I moved from New York to LA, which changed my lifestyle. But during COVID, it was Saturday, Sunday, weekends, weekdays, holidays. We don't know, like, no boundaries. So I think setting boundaries, somebody said that, which is really good. I think talking about what you were just saying, which is setting a timeline and a goal for yourself that's not necessarily 3 years, but like, let's go, okay, for 3 months, I'm going to slog it out and know that there's an end. So you know that you're not in this forever, taking more kind of short-term opportunities to kind of go crazy, and then pull yourself back to something more reasonable when you can, I think is a super smart way of doing things, which admittingly I haven't always been great at, and we don't always do. But I think even in your normal week, it's like, Eric and I were just talking about this, right? We're so programmed to always be working, like Mike Boris was saying too, because you always feel like you have to be hunting and gathering, that when we're not busy working on a job that we have, you're doing things for the catalog, you're cleaning, you're adminning, you're catching up on the pile of stuff that kind of has to be done. There's always something to be done. But I think that's where this conversation actually sprung from, because I think it goes back to that old adage of put your own oxygen mask on first before you offer assistance. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't do the jobs for everybody else. Eventually you'll just burn out, and all of us do. I think that's something we have to admit in this room. At some point in this room, on this stage, in this room, if you're in the music industry, everyone has either been on the edge of a nervous breakdown or have just flat out had it. Like, we've all kind of been there before. So I also think to say that out loud for me is really important. And remember that I think it's also that empathy thing, to remember that, music supervisors, sync reps, artists, producers, everybody is in the same boat together, and to have that empathy for each other. So I love that we're having this discussion. And Mia, might I just add, I know we don't know each other that well, but as an old woman to a young woman, I'm so damn proud of you. It's amazing, especially that you're doing the music editor thing. It's so critical that women are getting into that role. So I'm so thrilled to hear you doing that, and super proud of you.
I really appreciate that, and I couldn't agree with what you said more. I owe it to being in Clubhouse for that reason. I think I was working on the sync side, and I brought it up. I think you might have even been in that room, and somebody just said, "Go for it," and it really took that leap. But I will also point out the burning out. It happens too from just networking. It's not just from the work. The networking too burns you out, and so you have to be cautious of that as well when you're really trying to make things happen.
Oh my God, Mia. When I moved from New York to LA, my business partner at the time, who's still one of my best friends, said, if I can warn you of one thing when you move to Los Angeles, everyone will ask you for lunch. Do not say yes to everyone to go to lunch. There's a lot of people who want to take up your time and, do things. And it's like, he just said, I'm not saying don't go to lunch. I'm just saying be selective of who you spend your time with, because there's a lot of people who just want to have lunch. So take your time. And I think that was the exact point.
This is so awesome. All right, let's switch to Another topic before we do, let's say what's up to two new people on the stage. Of course, our regular Clint. What's going on, Clint? Good to always see you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? How y'all feeling?
Doing good, doing good. And Chris, I don't think you've been on our stage before. From Push Audio. How you doing, Chris? Chris Prism or Scott Dudley?
I'm so sorry. I have a little background noise. Chris Fiddle, Scott Dudley, it's great to be here. You guys are doing a lot of great things, man. And I'm just sitting back listening and enjoying the vibes.
No worries.
Chris, Scott, is Chris your artist name?
I'm still figuring out Clubhouse. My wife is like an expert at it, and I'm like, she told me to change my name to Scott Dudley. I got Chris Crillen, but a little bit of both.
Well, now I'm sitting here thinking, did I license yours? Have I placed your song from you? Is that what's happening right now? That's so cool.
I love
didn't
this.
Know it was you.
Chris, unmute your mic if you're trying.
Oh, you nailed it. I was talking. Oh, man, thank you so much. I'm a newbie. And, yeah, if the artist is Chris Prism and the writer is Scott Dudley, it's like Superman when you take off the glasses. You know it's the same person, but there's no magic. It's still the same guy.
The glasses worked on me. The glasses worked.
Oh, that's awesome. It's good to see you too, Jess. And, yeah, man, I've been sitting here looking at Clubhouse trying to learn how to use it. So as you see, my mic was still muted, but I sat back and enjoyed so much information goes by, and there's a lot of artists that might, that ask a lot of great questions, and the educational things that happen on this platform are amazing. So you guys are doing an awesome thing.
Oh, that's cool. I appreciate you being here. Dude, since this is your first time, and I know you got a noisy background, but take like 30 seconds and just introduce yourself to the people. Tell them who you are and what you do, especially in sync.
Oh man, it'll be an honor. My name is Scott Dudley. Artist name Chris Prism. We're all artists, and I'm the creative director at Push Audio. We do so much content. We do an album a month. We worked with great people like Jess, and had the honor to share songs and tracks with a lot of writers that's in this space. So we look in the advertising space, but we also do film and television, and the amazing sync world is ever evolving. But pretty much, I'm the creative director and kind of head pretty much every creative thing, every album a month, and it's a lot to take in, but we're all artists at heart, man, and it's an honor to see so many great artists in the room as well.
Awesome, welcome. I'm glad you're on Clubhouse, glad you're in the room, and we just appreciate you being a part of the community. Hopefully we're here every Wednesday and some Saturdays sharing music, so we want to get you to come through as often as you can.
Oh, I will do. I just follow Control Camp too, so I'll be on here. And next time I won't be so noob with it, man. I'll be able to hear everybody at once, man. This is a great thing.
Awesome. All right, so if you are just tuning in, this is Control Camp. We are a sync licensing community of various levels of people who are interested in getting music on film and TV. And this is our Campfire Convo, where we're discussing a variety of topics in the news and trends, or just sync one-on-one questions for people who are looking for education. So if you're here, just stick around and listen. We'll be opening up the floor to questions in a little bit. But the next thing I want to talk about for the panel, so I did a pitch recently of songs, and this led me to something that I wanted to bring forward. I had a playlist of songs in my catalog, and one of them is a playlist of what I called soulful Christmas songs, kind of like Christmas songs, but they either go from Motown to kind of new edition sound. So they're all variety of kind of R&B Christmas. And one of the supervisors who heard it complimented the music, but then said he suggested that because some of the songs were very explicit. They were like, have a Merry Christmas, or it's starting to feel like Christmas was in the lyrics. And he suggested that I, create more holiday quote unquote songs going forward. And in the ad space, he said he was starting to see a little pushback. He said it was new, but he was starting to see some pushback on specific Christmas lyrics and requests more for general holiday lyrics. And then a couple of other supervisors who were present were on the TV space were saying that they weren't seeing that it was still kind of very much, either or was fine. And so I thought that would be a cool thing. We've got soups and execs in different spaces just to see what are you all seeing? What's your thoughts on Christmas? What are the clients requesting, Christmas versus holiday, or are they all good? Any thoughts from anybody?
Eric, when you said explicit, my mind immediately went to like, who out here cussing in all these Christmas songs?
Same.
My bad.
Have a great motherfucking Christmas, y'all. That's my next song.
I'm gonna write that song right now.
Eric, will you write me that song? And can we give it to like someone who it really doesn't make sense for, like Self Magazine or something?
Let's do it. This is a collaboration coming together right on Control Camp. Let's do it. I get the Daraj. You got the vocals.
All right, I guess.
That's actually a great idea. Now I want to write a Christmas song about a New York fucking Christmas. I just think that would be epic, actually.
I bet it would get placed like too.
I was gonna say, yeah, I feel like it's probably a home somewhere for that song.
If it doesn't exist already, I mean, and Eric, to your question, I'll kick it off by saying I've heard the same thing, but I got both. Like for me, a Jew who loves Christmas, Christmas starts in June. We've already written Christmas songs explicitly asking for Christmas. I've also seen the brief, that has asked, please give us holiday songs. But I feel like that's been for a long time. I've seen that every year, at least for the last couple of years. I don't think it's a, kind of an attack on Christmas or anything, not that you were implying. I just think it's more, I don't know, I was on a bus yesterday to get from an airport shuttle to get from the rental car place to the other thing. And we actually got into a discussion about like the music was about Jesus and it was about, very religious music. And we were saying, is it appropriate for a brand, to be playing spiritual music, or things like that, and I didn't bring it up. Someone else who's a non-musical person kind of brought it up, which I found interesting. I think that as we're all being more cognizant to each other's feelings and thoughts and religions and cultures and things, I think that's just going to be a topic that kind of comes up. And I think it's handy to have, holiday songs for that reason. But I also think that Christmas songs are not going away, and there's going to be plenty of a need for them too, if that helps.
I haven't used Christmas or holiday music probably in like over 6 years, because I've been in sports and branded content, and we don't really use it. If we do, it's going to be instrumental and just sound more like sleigh bells rather than have any lyrics or it'll just sound more wintry, I guess, in that sense, like snowy sounds. I feel like Atik has the same answer as me too. But I know in the past, in the TV world, depending on who's producing the content, it's kind of like what Steph said, is are they more cognizant of people's feelings and making it more inclusive and have it be holiday, or is it Christmas? So I would tell any musician in here who's making holiday or Christmas music not to like think too much into it and do what feels right, because everyone's going to kind of use everything. And yes, Christmas music started months ago, which is crazy.
Yeah. No, it has. It's been going on for, oh my God, we're so Christmased out already, which is insane, but we're so Christmased out over here. So I know it exists because we're already sick of Christmas. But when people ask me about this, I often give the reminder of like a song like Home by Michael Bublé. That's a Christmas song. It's not a Christmas song. It's the perfect Christmas song. It doesn't actually talk about Christmas, but it talks about the thing that you want the most is to be home for the holiday or be with your loved ones, or, get home or get to the place that feels like home or reminisce about home. So it's like the perfect non-Christmas song. I feel like it's one of the best ones out there. So I say, if you're looking for the song to write, I always need a song like that, and that, to me, what's cool about that is like, it's a non-Christmas song. They'd be used for Christmas, but it could also be used for like a dozen other things. That song they licensed the crap out of that song. So
it's a great
Was
jam.
it me? I'm sorry, Eric. I was just gonna say, it seemed like the Christmas breach came in early this year, or was it just me? Like it just seemed like they
Yes.
came super quick.
They came super early. Like we used to joke that it was Christmas in July, but like we are thoroughly, I don't want to say sick of Christmas, but we are Christmased out for a moment because they came super early this year.
Yeah, we started in April. It was so early this year.
Yeah, us too. This is the first year I've definitely ever gotten one as early as April.
I think it's because COVID timelines changed everything. And so now everyone's kind of producing all the stuff now that they know they will need if we have another shutdown in the future. So I'm finding
Yes.
production schedules are all over the place and all the norms are kind of out the door to compensate for it.
Here's a
That makes
question,
sense.
and why is it that Christmas seems to get requests so early, like on in the game, versus other requests that exist? It seems like when it comes to any sync request, it seems like it was needed yesterday, but Christmas seems to get courted so early out. Why do you all think that is?
It's because one, we know it's happening and we're going to be prepared for it. Two, the industry, I can't speak for other major areas in the country, but in New York and LA, the industry shuts down from the holiday, like Christmas Day or the Christmas Eve to New Year's Day. And so they want to have all that content said and done as soon as possible. And it's easy to do it early and then it's just done and they can produce their normal day to day structure, like, and stay with TV broadcast schedules and all that.
I'm giggling over here, Jess, because you just gave our industry more credit than I ever will for being prepared. Like, in terms of
Yeah.
like, hey, it comes
Contrary
every
to
year.
popular
Totally know
belief,
it. Because I find
sometimes.
myself more often going, this comes every year. Why don't we fucking know that this is happening already? Like, I feel that way about like basketball season, about football season, about, a lot of things that happen, Christmas, Halloween, all the things where I'm like, we know this is coming. We can predict certain things that we're going to need. And I always feel like we're caught with our pants down that way. However, I will say that one thing that I've learned over the years is if you're working in animation, which is a lot we do, that has long lead. And Christmas time shows often have specials. Usually Christmas episodes or Thanksgiving episodes or holiday episodes are specials, and they will think about them further in advance. In my experience, like we're already working on a Christmas episode for something that airs in the next year of 2022. So certain things that are specials that are double episodes or holiday things need longer lead time, or they think about them bigger. And a lot of holiday shows also have bigger performance numbers or things like that. So in my experience, that's when we get asked for them a lot, especially like the one we did in April was like a custom one for a movie. So like that had a really long lead time. So in my experience, it happens a lot too because of that. Even in general television, Christmas episodes like Halloween, Thanksgiving / Christmas episodes, they're given a lot of thought.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna say too, with like the new streaming platforms, what a lot of people don't know is that if you're not constricted to like a broadcast television schedule, whether it's a TV show or a film, a lot of these shows, like especially because you can drop an entire season at once, they're often finished and final months or even years before you ever see it or know it's going to happen. Like I did season 1 Fuller House that dropped on Netflix only, and we finished that like a year before most people knew it was happening. Um, and but so a lot of the time it's like they know what's happening, they want to have it, tied in a bow in a box, ready to present to anyone. And then because it's done, they can kind of do whatever and kind of wait for the perfect distribution date too. And so if they have it prepared, they don't really have to rush it anymore. But in the meantime, they're going to rush you anyway, knowing that it's not going to air for a year, which is a whole other piece of the pie.
Can't get away from it. I was gonna say too. I wonder if because Christmas is Christmas and it's such a huge holiday here in the States. Like, is there any other like any other ROIs for brands and an average having been prepared to advertise for that season, and also shows, I don't know if like viewership rises during the Christmas season or something like that. Like I'm curious, like, is there any other metrics or ROI that kind of would incentivize them to be even more prepared for this particular holiday versus others or other events, if that makes sense?
I think it ties into a ton of like brands and partnerships and product placement for sales. Everyone's shopping around the end of the year for a lot of different holidays, and also it's a time of year where people are stopping and pausing for the holidays, and you're home with your family and congregating, and so it's likely that you're going to get more eyes on stuff during the holiday season too, which helps people hold for that time. And you'll find a lot of albums drop. Like a lot of people will release holiday albums. It's not just specific to like content either.
Wait, I want to clarify something too. You just made a really good point. Traditionally, it's been a very good record label time. Like major labels and major artists drop right before the holidays, right before Thanksgiving, right at Christmas, for that Christmas Black Friday kind of moment. Traditionally, that has not been a great time for indie artists. So since we're mostly a room of indie artists, I want to say, consider that if you're considering dropping a record or trying to reach out to someone at that time. It's a very busy time for the industry itself. I find that it's not the best time to release music as an indie artist. And I lived a whole lifetime of that world before my sync career. And I still, dabble in it. I find that it's better to find the less noisy spots, even in January as an indie artist, after everyone's kind of tapped out on Christmas and stuff. So just want to put that out there.
Very cool. This has been awesome. Daraj, you want to do a reset before we go into the next topic?
Yes, sir. Good evening and welcome, everyone. We are Control Camp, and we are a community built for and by independent artists. I'm one of your hosts, Daraj. Alongside me are my amazing co-hosts, Eric Campbell and Steph Fink. Appreciate you being here. We host these rooms every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we interview industry guests and talk about how you can get your music into TV and film. So to get to know more about us and all the resources that we have available, swing over to controlcamp.com. And if you haven't already, be sure to tap the greenhouse at the top to follow our club. So you'll be notified whenever we have a new room that we host. And also, too, we just want to make everyone aware there's a members only after party after our Wednesday room. So you'll only have access to that if you are following our camp. And so make sure you're following us and you'll see it pop up in your hallway. And also you want to do a quick reminder as well. I believe this Saturday we have our listening session where we will listen and give feedback to your songs for sync. And if you would like to have your songs reviewed, go ahead and swing over to controlcamp.com and there's a submit button right at the top, and you can join us this Saturday and every other Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And so we hope to see you later after this room, and then also on Saturday, come hang with us. And we've been having our camp conversations tonight, and we're so thankful for everyone who we have on stage here: Jaden, Atik, Mia, Jess, Clint, Chris, and some others who have stopped by. We just appreciate you sharing and just helping us just kind of chat through just different sync news and ways that any artist can just be aware of how to be best prepared for this side of the industry, which we call sync. So with that said, I'm gonna kick it back over to Eric because we're gonna get into our Q&A time. And so our hand raising is open. So if you have any questions, comments, this is that time where we'll be bringing some people up. But Eric can kind of give a little bit more. So over to you, Eric.
Yeah, I was actually going to do one more topic first, and then, but we can actually, it's a good time to keep the hands open so good people in the queue. And while we're doing that, if we'll do one more question and then go into questions from the audience. And so this has been in the news. There's a lot of talk right now about kind of like spatial audio, surround sound. It's kind of like, in some ways, there's been waves in the industry. At one point, surround sound in 5.1 was all the all it was all what's the word I'm looking for?
All the rave.
Thank you. Yeah. And everyone was talking about it, and but I don't know. Is actually I would like to hear. I don't know if during that um, first wave of it, did it really like penetrate into sync? You didn't really see people like engineers. You see engineers who will focus on mixing in 5.1 and doing in Dolby surround sound, but I didn't necessarily see that represented in briefs that mixes needed to be that way, or maybe that was left for editors. So now we're back, and Apple's promoting its spatial audio. Apple Music, Apple AirPods, are now giving you spatial audio. If you have them, Apple Music is going to be supporting that format. YouTube just announced that it's rolling out. Actually, they already rolled it out. 5.1 Dolby surround sound audio support, and it sounds like these formats, in some ways, are meant more to support the movies on the app. YouTube is getting longer. Um, 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 Longer content on their platform, and so some of they want movies with 3D music mixes, etc. So I just wonder myself, does anyone think that this will have any impact on sync if we're writing things for film or for television? I don't know how this happens now, or will this be more in the future, but where does the 3D come in? Is this an editor's job, or at some point, is this something that content makers need to be concerned?
Uh, this is happening already. For all the sound nerds, and maybe Mia can weigh in on this more. Uh, it usually is happening in post. Like, I don't know what many musicians who are writing with like the mix involved, and I don't know if necessarily that makes sense from an artist perspective and a writing perspective. Uh, I am a sound nerd. I'm the opposite of Mia. I started off as an editor, so I would love to chat with you offline. I'm intrigued, but yeah. So I personally love it, and the fact that it's coming to be more available outside of major theaters with a huge like sound system in there. I'm like stoked to see how this goes because it's going to be really, really cool. On the other hand, when you're not watching music and picture, sometimes like all the different mixing and pannings and positions is really distracting to me. Like it drives me insane sometimes when I can hear a guitar in one ear and on the other end is just the vocals. It's kind of,
Same.
it makes me feel off balance. But when it comes to music and picture, where you're supposed to be immersed in an environment where sonically you're also immersed and you hear things and cracks all over the place, especially if you can have it in your immediate audio, not just like in a room of speakers, like it's in your ear. That could be super cool, and it's going to be 10 times more intense for VR settings too
Yes.
when we go into the tech world. So that's my 2 cents. I'm like excited about it.
I love that. And I was thinking when you were talking about, I think the VR, the immersive world, as we get into world building, like that is going to just be the ideal space, because anything that allows us to be totally in a space, and everything's happening in this. I don't know if sync is there now, but it's got to be, because even in all these worlds, there's unlimited sync opportunities. Whether you are in a virtual world and you're walking down the street, and the virtual bodega has music coming out of out of the speaker in the window, or somebody like Travis Scott is doing a virtual concert. Like there's music everywhere. You can't have a virtual world without having music. The question, I guess, is who's responsible for the surround sound aspect? That would be the game designers taking stereo mixes and converting them, I guess.
I've
Yeah, I
actually
think
worked on.
Go ahead, Mia,
One at a
and
time.
then Clint.
I've worked on a VR game actually. Prior to entering music, I wanted to be a sound designer. That was kind of my main goal initially. And so I was working on a virtual reality game, educational based. And it's really interesting because as a sound designer, and there are music editors within gaming as well, they learn themselves how to implement these sounds through, and music as well, through um, kind of Fmod and different implementation softwares that will allow them to place them in specific places and be triggered by specific things. And the software is so complex. It kind of blew my mind. But it is really awesome. And it's, for me, I was telling someone the other day actually that I'm grateful that I left sound design because that's my passion, and I felt like if I did it every day I might start dreading it or something, but I'm really grateful to be able to go into sound on the weekends. But it is such an, like, the territory is unlimited within tech. It's really crazy.
Clint, you want to jump in?
Yeah. I just wanted to say, I think so it was a project I was working on with the composer a couple years ago, and I guess the person who was gonna do like the final post mixing or whatever for the show or the film, um they the only thing they requested of me was just to make sure the high res files were like bounced out a certain way. But I think as long as they have the stems, they kind of handle the surround sound magic, whereas we're just making sure they have all the like individual stems so they can kind of place it where they want to place it, when they kind of make that, I guess, that final mix or whatever. That's kind of how I understood it. So it wouldn't be something that we would necessarily worry about in our DAWs, is like like mixing and surround sound ourselves. That's just how I understood it from that experience.
Mia, first let me say, sorry, I'm obsessed with you. Every time Mia opens her mouth, I'm like, I'm just obsessed. I gotta just say that. Yeah, to what Clint is talking about, we worked on a project for Google Home before the pandemic where it was an immersive experience where, I don't know if you guys know CES, the trade show, which, by the way, is something we haven't really talked about. There's another kind of form of sync in terms of, beyond your television screens, there's industrial kind of trade shows and things like that where you can have musical projects that are kind of both as they're half sync and half immersive, half experiential. And I think that'll start to happen again more as the pandemic starts to fade. It was happening a lot pre-pandemic, and it got slowed down obviously by COVID. But we were hired by Google to make all of the sounds that come out of Google Home, and some of that was licensing songs from like major artists like Rihanna. So when you walk through the experience, you go, "Hey Google Home, play Rihanna," it would play. But then also the immersive experience, when you walk through their hallways, they built this giant 2-story kind of home that you can walk through with all the little Google pods all over the place, and you were hearing sounds in from all different sound like places above you, around you. When you walk through a hallway, if it was playing Rihanna, then it was raining in the next room, and it was like a whole immersive experience between song and space. So for us, there's a big studio in Santa Monica called Lime that does this kind of mixing, and we, like Clint said, had to deliver all of these waves in a very specific format, and we mixed all our own stuff, and then they mixed it for production how it needed to be mixed to be able to play that way in an immersive experience, which was we were fortunate enough to be able to sit in on the sessions, and it was mind numbing. They actually map things out, like an architect. It's kind of nuts, and plan things where they come into each speaker, and it's really nuts. But I, like Jess, totally nerd out over this stuff, and I'm 100% for it. And by the way, as things do come back, if you get the opportunity to work on a project like that, don't discount that kind of project. It's very cool.
Very awesome. If any other thoughts, I'll move on, but that's really, really cool. Really, really insightful. All right. So the floor is open for questions from the audience. So we do a couple of things here. If you have like one-on-one questions, if you're just questions about sync in general, we'll take questions to the panel, things that you're not sure about. If there's questions pertaining to anything that we discussed today, you're welcome to add that. Something else we started doing and just raise your hand if you do have a question, and we'll pull you up. But something else we've started doing is taking any wins. Any of our, if you've been in control camp, you've been listening, and you have some wins you want to report, things you've taken, or some things that have come full circle. You've taken some tips or some gems away from the room, and gone and applied them and gotten some results, whether it's a placement or a lead or a relationship or some strategy that you implemented that you got some cool results. We'd love to hear that kind of feedback. So if you have any of those, raise your hand. And if there aren't any questions at this time, we'll go on with some other. We have some Sync 101 questions that we get asked in our DMs. And we have other topic questions too. Before I jump into them, Steph, did you have some you wanted to pull out? I have some in the ready if not.
I am having a senior moment where I don't remember. I know we had them today. But before we jump into that, I want to welcome Loren to the stage. How you doing, Loren?
Hey, Steph, how are you? Hi, everybody.
Hey, Loren.
What's going on, Lauren?
Good to see you. That sounds like a great gig. That Google gig sounds wonderful.
It was super rad. It was maybe the most stressful gig I've ever done in my life, actually. I like Mia, even at 40, which is pretty old in our industry, I will always, if I could learn from it, I will always say yes. If I think I can, as long as I don't think I'm going to fail my client, I have to be able to know that I could deliver or have the people around me to teach me to deliver. And it was definitely one of those gigs because I was definitely in over my head, but we pulled it off, and it involved 9 different songs plus licensing plus this crazy experience at Lime, but it was pretty nuts. So
Lime is amazing. I've mixed commercials there in the past. And by the way, I beg to differ about 40 being old in the business.
Okay, good, thank you. I feel like a dinosaur with all these. I look at Mia and I go, oh my god, so much youth and so much promise. if only I had had what Mia had going on at her age. But I love it. Eric, I'm out of questions. My brain is dead today.
No worries, we got some. So we get asked questions in our DMs a lot, and so we tend to save some of them. So one of the ones that we've gotten often, and we'll often talk about this. We talk about love songs in sync. So the most popular songs that are written, the average songwriter, 90% of the times they're going to write about relationships. That's what we know. That's what we're emotional about, and so that's what we write. And then if you take any kind of sync class or read a book or you listen to a podcast or come in this room, somebody will usually advise people not to write love songs that's not necessarily needed. So I would love to hear from the room any perspectives on why that is. Why the push to encourage songwriters in sync, new songwriters in sync, to stay away from love songs. Anybody want to shed some insight on that? Or unless you think differently.
I'm not gonna write you a love song if you ask for. All right, never mind.
I don't discourage anyone from writing love songs. I think what I encourage people to do is to, if you are going to write a love song, write a more general love song. But look, some of the most successful songs in the world have very specific names and things like that. I personally abide by the rule of if it's a good fucking song, it'll go, but I think you have a bigger shot if you're really trying to aim for sync, which y'all know I don't really love doing unless I'm really just creating bespoke music for a thing. But as far as like general library goes, I don't generally play that game because I really have found that the songs that defy all the odds of all the don't do's are the ones that go, and then the ones where we carefully plot and plan don't. So I just think it's more of a, I think there's not a huge call for slow songs, and I think love songs tend to be more ballads, and those are harder, to come by. I think it's also a lot of people write a ton of slow ballad brooding songs like you were talking about. It's what we come by honestly as, soulful creators. I know that I think we've talked about this before. We get asked to write upbeat, happy kind of stuff all the time. We're writing I don't know, a couple this week, but like every time Jason and I or anybody on my team tries to write a love song or tries to write something upbeat, we tend to write something sad. Like we were trying to write a Christmas song, I think, and Jason and I wrote a song called Rehab or Relapse or something like that. Like it's like, not our
Another
nature.
Christmas in rehab.
Exactly. It's not our nature to be like, joyous, happy people as artists. So
I
I think
just
that's
want to say that we're off the cuff creating the most amazing Christmas EP during the session. Like the
yeah, we
songs that
got.
we've generated so far, like this is going to be fire.
All right, I'm
Right.
gonna write this down. Abby, who's in the room, you got this. Another Christmas in Rehab, and just a New York fucking Christmas. That's our two big songs
Going
for
to be
the
fire.
day. What about you, Loren? You have any thoughts on love songs and kind of those tropes to avoid or to dig in, or if that's a myth or a real thing?
Well, I mean, I license what I'm asked for, and I don't brief writers, um, to generally write a genre or not. I mean, I think a good love song, is a good love song. A good song is a good song. I think it can be applicable um, in many places, whether in sync or just as part of your playlist. So I'm not aware of that trend to avoid writing love songs because they're hard to sync. So um, I can't answer that really.
We, Allison from Peer is on the stage. Welcome, Allison. Um,
Hi.
would you have any thoughts on that in terms of how you guide your songwriters? Do you advise
Sure.
them towards not writing or to encourage that, or is it is it just the song?
Well, first off, hi, Lauren. We've emailed for years and I've never heard your voice or seen your face, so it's nice to
Well,
kind of meet you.
yeah. Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great.
Um, yeah, so love songs, our kind of rule of thumb is positive love songs tend to work really well. Like, don't write about your failed relationship because that tends to be very specific. Even if it's a heartbreak that's going on screen, it can be very on the nose. Um, but positive love songs a lot of times are meant for comedic moments or like when people are falling in love, music supervisors do like to use a positive love song, and it's just not something that people are writing about. People are writing about their heartbreak, so it's a smaller pool to pull from.
Can I throw a question out? Is Purple Rain considered a love song?
I'm sure there's different perspectives on it. Sure.
Would that be syncable today if somebody who wasn't Prince did it?
I'm going to stand by my honor and say a good song is just a good song. And, please, I've also heard songs that I think are trash get into tons of things. So I really think one of the most amazing and equally frustrating things about the sync industry is that, one person's trash is another person's treasure. And again, there are songs that I watch shows and I'm like, ew, who placed this and why and what? Like, and then there are, songs that are amazing that I'm absolutely certain should be syncable that never go anywhere. So, I don't know. I think a good song is a good song. And, I think there are, and Allie Johnberg, back me up or dismiss this. You can help me
Oh
out.
my god, I love this so much. I so agree with this. Like a good song is a good song, and it's always the song that you don't expect that places. Like I just had that experience today. I threw out a pitch, and um, like after I had completed the pitch, I was going back and forth on this one song, and I ended up throwing it in last minute. It was a super slow, and they asked for an energetic song, and of course, that's still the song that they pick. So there's like the rule is that there's no rules, and like I think you're right. Kind of just the best song and following your heart with that is a lot of times the right move.
Yeah, and I picked on Allison because when you get close to certain relationships, I don't do this for every brief, but I will do it to Allison because she's a friend. Sometimes the brief is like you could read it and you go, they're saying up tempo, they're saying this, but I really think they mean this. And I don't usually challenge those things, but if I know the supervisor well enough, or if I know the intermediary well enough, how many times, Allison, do I send you something, go, I know that they asked for this, but could we send this too? And thankfully Allison's smart enough to like save us from ourselves. Sometimes she'll be like, nah, that's off the mark, or yeah, let's try it and see what happens. So, you really never know, but you have to be able to trust your intermediaries that way, that they're going to save you from yourself if you're going to take a risk. I wouldn't recommend that, if you don't have a good relationship with the supervisor, or like a personal relationship, because you might just look like you're ignoring the brief, which is something you should never do.
I love it. This is great insight. Thank you all. Adam's on stage, and Adam had a question. What's up, Adam?
Hey, what's up? Happy belated 4th of July, Canada Day. Up here from the Great White North, have a lot of family in the States, so how you guys doing? I'll get to the question. Nice seeing all you guys back at it. So a few weeks ago, I was got invited to this random Zoom. My friend's mom, who works at Warner, is out production music, so I was kind of confused about the whole topic. Basically, it was this world in between composition and sync, where it's more for movies and TV, where they look for songs but that are extremely background, almost like composition. And I was so confused and almost my eyes open, because I'm like, I didn't realize this was a whole world. I assumed, anything more background is done by the composer, and then certain songs that are more uplifting for a specific cue are synced and picked by a music supervisor. So I just want to know if anyone has any idea of that production music world, and I mean a Cole's Notes answer of how it works, because it kind of blew my mind. I never heard of that in my life.
The lovely world of, we call it stock music at Condé Nast. The hidden secret of the supervision space is like, you have like the major artists, the indie artists, and you have original composition, and then you also have production music, which is more sometimes vocals, mainly instrumental, and it's just mainly to stick in the background, but also like a ton of trailers are full of production music, and you don't really realize how many placements are actually production music. So I will challenge you to pick your favorite Condé Nast brand. GQ, Wired, majority of the stuff is actually production music in there. We have annual deals, and so I couldn't even pretend to try, or like my brain can't even comprehend actually touching every single video that we produce across all the brands. A lot of it is like I can't talk, handhold the editors who are pulling stock, they call it stock music, from our library, the production music libraries, and will do it themselves, and I'll step in for the music heavy bigger ones, and because a lot of my job is actually clearance related. So yeah, it's not a hidden secret, but it's a often more affordable option when we can't afford custom music or commercial indie stuff.
Wow, no, that's crazy. And obviously, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be like very ominous or in the background. It could be like more of an upbeat song, but quiet. It seems like it doesn't have to necessarily be a certain style or mood, but maybe it.
No, that's like the greatest thing about production music. A lot of the catalogs are everything. Like you go to production music catalogs because they have a little bit of everything. And so it's sometimes it's background, but a lot of times it's featured. Like you don't realize a lot of ads that you see getting pushed out there with paid media are actually production music tracks.
But isn't that also essentially sync then? If it's like, even if it's like a production stock music song, but in like a major brand commercial for like Coca Cola, wouldn't that still be a sync, but with a production music song if it's not a custom piece
Yeah,
of
so
music?
so sync is a type of use. So sync means you're placing a piece of content with another piece of content. It doesn't even necessarily have to be music related. Typically in our world is audio visual, but a sync could also now they consider a podcast sync, even though it's audio only usage. You're syncing a piece of music to an audio project. So it's a type of license. Like when it's an audio only streaming, like audio only, nothing else is involved, it's a mechanical license. Audio only, like that would be a Spotify CD. Audio only, that's mechanical. So that's just a reference to sync. Often sometimes you'll hear sync related to the publishing side. Now we're just getting into the mechanics of it all. But I wouldn't I wouldn't stipulate types of music catalogs with the word sync. I would consider them different types of music creation.
Yeah, no, totally. Thank you so much. I was kind of blown away. So seems
Oh
like
yeah, they have their own award show, like their whole own award season. The production music space. It is like a huge niche part of the music industry. It's
what is
pretty
it?
interesting.
What's it called?
I honestly don't know. Just look up, like, just research like production music catalog award or something like that. I don't know, unless someone knows
There's a
what I'm
conference.
talking about.
Actually,
It's
they just announced the conference this week for the Production Music Association, PMA. I don't know if they do the awards, but that's a great conference to check out. And they're doing it both virtually and in person this year. I think in October. I think it's the first week of October. So if you want more info on that, on all whenever we talk about libraries or production, if you hear us use the word libraries, most times we're talking about production music houses or people who sign just instrumentals. A lot of my early placements, I know Clint does with a lot of libraries. A lot of the stuff that we place that are all instrumentals are all through libraries that just they might work through a major company like APM or something, or they might be an individual boutique library. But PMA is where you can kind of do a lot of research about a lot of these companies. And if you go to the conference, either in person or virtually, you can meet a lot of them. You can see what kind of catalogs they're looking for. A lot of these companies put their catalogs online. So you can go to APM's website and look at all they release probably dozens of albums every week. You can go and look at all the variety of albums, all the different genres, all the specialty curated collections, just to see what kind of music is getting synced, or at least getting curated in the hopes of getting synced. And so it's some great research online just by checking out these companies.
Yeah, and I just want to jump in with our kind of room disclaimer to remind everybody that just because we talk about something doesn't mean we necessarily endorse something. You got to do your homework. There's a lot of really amazing production music catalogs and production music producers. There are also a lot of, it's a little imbalanced actually in this side of things. There's a lot of predatory production deals. So make sure that when you're studying this, you're really looking into the deals that you could potentially doing with these catalogs. There are a lot of there tend to be a lot of extra predatory deals on that side of or that piece of the industry. So just be careful. There's a lot of really great ones, and they could be a really good start. And a lot of our team even got started in some of those. I know guys that are still making a living full time making that kind of stuff, and they can be great. So it's going to depend on what's good for you, but just make sure you're looking at your deals and ask around and validate who you're working with before you start to work with a production music library. And speaking of disclaimers, hi, our favorite lawyer, Amanda. Welcome to the stage.
Hello.
Hey, Amanda,
Thanks
good
for
to see
having
you.
me. Good to see you.
Also,
All
welcome
right.
Paige, and who else came up to stage? Tommy was here earlier, but Tommy, Paige, good to see y'all.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
Paige, I had
Hey,
PTR.
Tom.
I didn't even see you.
I do want to shout out. I brought up Afshin just because I don't know you, but just because I saw your bio and you've got some insane credits, so I wanted to give you the chance to at least introduce yourself if you're there. And I also want to know if you're involved in sync. Do you just work with commercial artists, or have you any experience with sync, or did you just wander into the room?
Hey guys. Well, hi.
How's it going?
Good, man. Good. Yes, actually, I am heavily like involved within like sync. I like I've had quite a few of my songs actually synced. So I'm very actually familiar with it, and I have gotten to know a few music supervisors and talents and stuff like that. So I'm long story short, I'm very very familiar with like the sync world and like the TV and film world.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you came into the room. I just wanted to give you a chance to shout yourself out and get people to say what's up to you.
Cheers, man. Thank you so much. Hi guys. My name is Afshin. I'm an artist, songwriter, producer, DJ, part-time dancer to pay the rent, and and I just love making music, and I have been really actually fortunate to work with, you know, quite a few people that have changed my life, like the actual like course of my life. So it's been awesome, and I'm just really happy to get to basically like actually like do this for work, which sounds weird and kind of awesome. That's all.
Very cool, man. Well, thanks for so much for coming up. We just thanks for coming in the room, and definitely come through and share your experiences with us. So appreciate you being here.
Cheers, man. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, so if there are any 9:30, this is Control Camp. If you want any other information about us, you can get it at controlcamp.com, CTRL camp.com. It's 9:30. We have an after party starting at 10 o'clock where we do not discuss music, but if we kind of just, it's like if this talk is a TED talk, then the after party is kind of like hanging out in the hotel lobby afterwards. We really just kind of chat about each, social stuff. We get to know each other. It's a really, really cool vibe. So if you're not, the only way to see the room is if you're actually following the camp. So on the upper left-hand corner, right above my icon, above my picture, there's like a green icon that looks like a house. If you click on that, you can follow the camp, and then the after party will show up in your hallway. So a really cool way to not to net socialize. I'll say that, not network. And since it's 9:30 and we don't have questions, Daraj, Steph, I'll open it to you. I'm happy to open the floor if people want to come up. So we usually don't have this kind of time at the end. Usually we have questions going to the end. So since we have some time, people who haven't been on stage want to come up and just say hello. I'm totally open to that. And yeah, we're just kind of chilling and relaxing. What's on your minds, Daraj, Steph?
Yeah, I'm with it, man. If we want to bring them up just to come kick it with the camp, let's go. I'm here.
What's up, Colleen? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. You want to take the moment to everyone who comes up, give us a 30-second intro. Tell us who you are and if you experience any experiences with sync, your interest in it, and just share something with us.
Okay. Well, I live in southern Ontario, Canada, near Niagara Falls. And because if I told you the name of the town I live in, you wouldn't recognize it. You wouldn't know where it is. So I'm near Niagara Falls. I'm a songwriter, instrumentalist, multi-instrumentalist, composer, and I'm about to be given my first assignment as a film composer for an independent short 30-minute film out of India. And I'm just waiting for them to deliver the film to me, and then I'll start with that work. I also just sold a song or a piece of music, rather. A person contacted me and said that they would like a piece of just sort of contemplative music that they could play flute against. And so we struck an agreement for $75. And I sat down the other night and composed a 5.5 minute piece of music. Sent a link to her um, so that she could, let me know if that was what she wanted. She said yes. So I guess I hit the nail on the head first try. And I just drew up the contract and sent it to her. And when I get the signed contract and payment, I'll send her the MP3. So that's a little bit different of almost a micro sync. So this is Colleen, and
Colleen, that is so awesome. Congratulations to you for both of those, the movie opportunity and the individual placement. It's really, really cool to see people reaching out and making music and finding ways to connect with people who need the music. So awesome. Good to have you and good to hear your story.
thank you.
All right. Who else? Somebody else who hasn't been up here. I see a lot of people in the audience, and we don't do this often. So take advantage of this. Come up and say hi. Tell us introduce yourself. Tell us some of your sync stories while the mic is open.
Oh,
I have one
everybody
more.
shy.
This
Go
is
ahead,
not
Loren.
like us.
I have one more title for your Christmas EP.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yes.
I saw Mommy Vaccinate Santa Claus.
This is gonna
Nah, bro.
Fire.
this is gonna be a fire album. I'm telling you. I'm about to put a brief out. We're auditioning artists starting tomorrow.
It's a little derivative, Loren. I think we're gonna owe some back royalties to us on Mommy Kissing Santa Claus, but I think it'd be worth it. I think it's really
I don't
worth
think
it.
titles are copyrightable though. So.
Nope, not titles.
Oh, here's something interesting that I would bring up in the room that KZ and Ivan and I just experienced writing, where we had a win. First of all, I want to say KZ and Ivan won't say yet because we're not allowed to talk about what it is. But KZ and Ivan won a big theme song for a project that we're working on. So I want to congratulate them, and we'll talk about it more when we can. But they also had a first kind of sad experience where we were given a brief. We were told exactly what to write. We hit the nail on the head so well that, a musicologist was like, well, you're repeating this word and this happens in another song. And we're like, well, it's a brand DNA. How do you avoid that? And you can't. But long story short, we ended up negotiating and actually writing. There was a similar song that was written, and we gave 20% of our equal cut to this writer who had previously worked on it, even though we all felt, and our individual musicologists also felt, that it was a little bit of bullshit because you can't, like Loren said, you can't copyright a title, and there's also a lot of very common words that can't be copyrighted either. But our theory was it is better to let people overcompensate people and let people make sure they feel included than have that one person in the universe feel like they were ripped off. So we treated it like song karma, and we all agreed that that was a better thing to do. And it was a lesson. I don't want to say a lesson learned. I don't know what we learned from it, but we learned that it can happen, even when it's not supposed to happen. And you kind of call an audible on that sometimes. So that was kind of our thing for the week. But I want to say, congrats to KZ and Ivan. And also, they were such good sports about it. And it just kind of goes to, I think, again, the kind of people that are curated in this camp where everybody is a good sport and are good humans. And I was super proud as a producer, to know that we picked a team that was handling a tough situation with a big company, so gracefully.
Hey, and props to you because KZ is so amazing, and I know you're doing a super great job of finding these people and mentoring them and bringing them into your camp. And so props to you as well, Steph, because they need that leadership because that one's hard.
Oh, thanks. Hey, KZ, I see you there.
Hey, Steph. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Tommy. Props to Steph because I was listening earlier and I was just thinking about how Steph mentioned that she was taking a mental break so that she could be kinder to her team. And something about Steph is she just never makes us feel like we're inconveniencing her. Like sometimes Steph will talk to me on the phone for like an hour and then I hear how busy she is and I'm like, how amazing is it that she can talk to us and never make us feel like it's an inconvenience. Especially, I mean, it is usually about work, but she has to answer a lot of questions for us because situations like today, it was like a first time deal and she handles things so well.
Oh, thanks, Kay. What they don't know is that I'm like a duck, calm on the top of the water, but like paddling feverishly underneath.
I told you I am scared of Steph. Hey, Jess, Clint, Loren, I hadn't been able to say hi to everybody. Everybody on stage, hello, I miss you guys so much. But yeah, I'm scared of Steph. You don't want to piss off a New Yorker. Trust me when I tell you.
Stop giving me a bad rep. I'm not that mean.
All right, we got Alex on the stage. What's going on, Alex?
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. It's been a couple weeks since I was in the room, but yeah, you guys never have these post or right towards the end have all this time left, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, tell
yeah, I'm a
everybody about
singer-song-
yourself. Go ahead.
Sure. I'm a singer-songwriter in Denver, and I've been to Durango a few times. and just sort of had the, I don't know if it was an epiphany last year, but I was like, what I write very Americana kind of music, and shifting that more towards a sync world and being a little more universal in what I'm writing. And I did have a question for you guys. What is the market of sort of that Americana sound within sync?
That's a great question. I don't think we've talked about that. Anybody want to address that?
I will say, unfortunately, I don't know if you'll have as many options as more popular music. I find even people who don't make what would be considered folk or Americana, producers still say they hear this like the Nashville twang to it. Not that you're in Nashville, but that's like a note I get a lot when I'm just trying to give them singer songwriter. Is they consider everything country, and it's like really frustrating for like anyone who knows different genres more thoroughly. But for you, it will be, I think it'll be targeting supervisors who are working on content that would more likely use it. So anything that's being shot in the South, or more, I find Americana works a lot with outdoor scenes. Um, like especially Colorado, like Colorado is a very Americana town. Like depending on what kind of Americana too, because like when I think Colorado, I think Gregory Allen. I don't know how to say his last name, Isikoff, but I feel like that's not what you mean when you say Americana.
Yeah,
Like
Gregory
Avid
Allen
Brothers
Isikoff, like,
Americana.
yeah, like Avid Brothers. That
Okay.
the Lumineers kind of have that. They're the
Oh.
Colorado
Oh.
premier Americana band of sorts. They're more folk, I guess, but yeah, how does that fit in?
Oh, yeah, that okay. Here I can work with this. Avid Brothers get licenses left and right in places you wouldn't necessarily think they would, but it's more of their mellow songs, not their like in your face, like stomp, clap, and playing the spoons and like the washboard on the chest kind of thing. Because they can go in it, or they can do very top level, like pretty harmonies and stuff. Like the one, what's the song Brandy covered? I love the Avid Brothers, by the way, so I could talk about them all day. But they have like these more just melody. They love songs like "Laundry Room's" a good example. That song's been placed a lot. But then the Lumineers have the stomp clap, which is huge for promos. So they are Americana-y, but they have that promo anthemic sound. So they've been licensed like too much. I think it's just like they're referenced a lot at this point, like ho hey all over, so it depends on which style of song, and then you kind of target it to that, and you learn how to talk about your music in that kind of tone, where maybe you make Americana music, but I have this song that's similar to the Ballad of Love and Hate by the Avid Brothers. It's like you pair away the vocals, and the instrumental works good to picture and fades behind dialogue well. It could be good for a montage, like there's a lot going on and it's emotional. Or if it's like the more exciting kind of Americana, it could work very well for promo. Or you could also, I find, on camera work, there's a lot of bar scenes where there's always Americana bands playing. It could work for that. I mean, I could keep going. Do you want me to keep going? Is this
I got a
good?
weird one.
Awesome, thank you.
I got a weird one for you. I've had a lot of luck with that genre. I'm actually working on. It's weird enough. I'm actually working on a children's movie, which we never get asked for that, and this new children's movie asks for like Lumineers and like that kind of stuff. But I would also recommend you check out. This is going to sound very weird, but very true. Check out Nat Geo shows, like all of the nature shows and all of the ice,
Yes.
whatever trucker shows, and the, truck box ice tuna king, all those shows are huge with Americana. I used to rep a guy named Jesse Snyder, who's Dee Snyder's son from Twisted Sister, and his stuff ranges from rock to Americana, and he has a song called Promised Land. It's one of my most licensed songs in the catalog, and it has been placed for ESPN, and it's been placed for like Nat Geo Gold Rush, or like those kind of shows, like anything that has to do with America or working class heroes, huge for that kind of show. it's been placed a ton. So and for sports, as weird as it sounds, like I feel like I never get that asked, but that song has gone for NASCAR. That's gone for Monday Night Football. A couple of different things. So I would say you'd be surprised where it goes, even though oddly enough, like Jess said, I don't see a brief coming across my desk every day for it. But it is one of my more heavily licensed random songs. So I would say, check out the Nat Geos of the world and the DIYs anywhere where somebody is hammering, driving a truck on a big boat in nature. Those are your shows.
Yeah, nature stuff. And then also a good way to like figure out where else it could be is to look up these artists on someone else. Let me know. Someone else say it's the website where any kind of sync is listed for shows and stuff. It's a good research tool. Look and see where they were placed. Like I can tell
Yeah.
you the Avits were placed on Grey's Anatomy, and you wouldn't really consider them someone who actually maybe you do. I don't know. That's probably a bad example, but it is Americana is the type of genre producers think they don't like until it's happening because it's their
Yes.
idea, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. That is so helpful. Thank you guys so much.
Great question, Alex. KZ, you were talking, but you didn't get to introduce yourself. So I want to give you a chance to give you a 30-second introduction, KZ. We all know you're awesome, but I want everybody to know.
Okay. So I'm KZ, short for KZ Kova. It's my full artist name. I was based out of Nashville, but I am in Florida now, living my best life. Ready to go harass Daraj here in a little while. But I actually took a sync course with Eric and Daraj. I guess has it been almost 2 years now? Year and a
2
half?
years, yep.
Yeah. And it rocked all of our worlds. And since then, I think right after the course, I was really focused on like sync and like only sync. And I did an EP with Warner Chappell for sync, and that was really fun. And I've done a lot of vocals for hire for people for sync. And so now I'm really focusing on trying to incorporate that more as an artist. Like they are kind of separate entities right now. So I'm buckled down and dedicating the time to do the artist thing as well.
And she's an amazing singer, and she's fast as fuck when it comes to top line. Pardon my New York French. And by the way, it's not just a special endorsement. It's not like we all know each other. I met KZ in this room in Control Camp. I didn't know her before, so no special treatment there. But we discovered each other here. So dreams really do come true.
I met her in here as well, and if you've never heard her, she's a freaking rock star. She truly is gifted. So I'm a huge fan. I'm glad she's on the team of the Control Camp because she's really, really a special find.
Oh my God, wait, I have to make a connection. Allison Dannenberg, KZ Kova. Allison, I actually pitched one of KZ's songs to Allison, and Allison was like, who's this singing? This is rad. And now you guys know each other. Look at that. You're in the room together. So Allison's on the stage, KZ's on the stage. This is KZ.
It's great to meet you. I also want to say hi to Tommy, who I work with. It's good to see you here.
Good to see you. Loving these smiles. You and Jess always brighten my day. If you don't, just pop up these two and just look at them, and they're like happy all the time. So I'm about happy right now. It's a new season. I've called this the happy season. I've just decided I'm claiming it, man. We're coming out. We're happy. So both of them make me happy. Hi, Allison.
Hi. I love that. Hi, Jess.
Hey, I miss
My
you.
happy sister.
See? Listen to them. You have to be happy with these two. It's just that simple.
That's high praise, because all I do is scare the shit out of Tommy. So, you know.
That's high praise.
Hey, but Steph, you and I have this special bond, so we can go in so many different ways, man. We can go in tits to love, so I love her too, so that's good.
I'm just teasing. I agree. Allie Dannenberg and Jess are two of my favorite humans, and I'm glad that you connect to KZ. And also, let me just sneak in my favorite, which is that, we're surrounded by amazing women, and I love that when you guys or gals get to connect with each other through Control Camp, makes me even more excited.
Hey, awesome. Steph, will you speak on that? Will you speak on your desire for this whole empowering and fighting. You're a champion to this super powerful women in this music business camp, and you inspired me to do some pretty cool things. And could you speak on the standpoint of where you're fighting and champion that world?
I'm not quite ready to do that. However, I love you for I love you for saying that. And one of the highest compliments I got was when you told me that you made your deal the way you did, because we had talked about the pathetic stats of women's place in the music industry, which you don't want to launch me on when it's 6:50 at night, when we don't have enough time. But I love you for saying that, and thank you. And I am really looking for amazing women and BIPOC creators. So if you're one of those people, you can always DM me, and you can DM Eric and Daraj too, because we're all on the lookout for the same kind of creator, and we all look out for each other. So thank you for the shout, Tommy. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
Steph inspired me, and she really brought the attention to the numbers of how many women are actually owners of their labels and stuff. So versus with Ellie Duke, versus signing her to First Note, I actually opened up a new LLC and a new label just for her, and it's New Me LLC, and it's her label, and she's the CEO. We're 50-50 owners, and she's my freaking boss, and it's all because of Steph. So there you go.
Thanks, Tommy. I'm really inspired when I see people like you doing things like that. Not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. I think that's a big deal. So kudos to you for that. And
Very dope.
guys, I hate to say this, but I have to duck out because I have to work for the first time ever in such a long time, where I have to duck out of control camp early. It makes me so sad.
Boo!
I know, but
Boo!
I didn't want to just kind of ghost you all, but I love you all. And, thanks to everyone on the stage, Tommy, T, Mike, Jess, Clint, Lauren, Allison, Amanda, Paige, all our special guests and friends that come every week. I'll see you next week, but I'm leaving you in good hands, and have a wonderful night.
Bye, See you, Steph.
Bye, Steph.
See you, Steph.
All right, we just got about 8 minutes, but we're going to get through Janae, McKinney, and Jared. I'm glad you guys got in before we closed the hand raising. And so, Janae, say hey. We've seen you in the after party, but say hey and give us a 30-second intro to who you are.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Janae Louis Jacques. I'm a singer, songwriter, and actress based in New Jersey. And I guess this is more of like a premature celebration, but I also do have a question like following that. I just recently was asked, there's a cinematographer slash director that is creating his own project, and he asked that for one of my songs to use for his promo while he's pitching. Um, the thing is, like, the song that I have that he wants to use is not produced, and he offered to find a producer. Well, he actually has a producer for the song that he'd like to use. And my question is just like how to approach the situation. Um, Again, because like I'm just a songwriter, I didn't like produce this song, and just like not relinquishing like all, I don't know how, like just protecting my intellectual property, if that makes sense, in the best way possible.
But you wrote the song, and you have the melody, and you have like an acoustic guitar or a piano or something
Yes.
with it?
I actually performed the song on Clubhouse when we were in a room together. I mean, I've been in contact with him for like months now. And that's when he like asked me to do the song.
Gotcha. So yeah, I probably you have the song. It's a complete song. You've created the music.
It's not fully produced, no.
It's not fully produced, but it's a complete song. You have music, you have chord arrangements, you have melody, you have words. So you have a complete song that you are the 100% owner to. And then if someone wants to come and enhance that production or do another version, they can do that without necessarily being writers of the song. Tommy, you want to weigh in on this? Oh, Tommy, you still there? Wait. So yeah, so you can.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I was in the middle of something there. So what was the question?
So Janae has a song that she wrote, completely by herself. She has the music on either acoustic guitar or piano. I'm not sure which instrument, but she has the chord arrangements, and and a film producer I think wants to use that song for a promo. But they want it more produced, so they're offering to partner her with another producer to kind of produce out the song, And so, I guess her question is, does that require her to give up rights to the song? And I'm imagining you've had some similar situations. You're familiar with this, so I wanted your insight on this.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually negotiate anything you want. You can actually pay that out and get a work for hire, and you control all the master, you control all the publishing, and then you license it out. If that's not the arrangement they're looking for, and he's going to produce it, in a lot of entry-level situations, we may very well, because of price point and connections to the producer and their use, we may let them produce it and share the master. I would never give up the publishing. I could get some back-end points into the contract. So I would say get some legal advice for sure. You're welcome to DM me. We have expensive attorneys, and so we know this stuff pretty well. I'd be more than happy to at least glance over and have a verbal conversation with you and kind of guide you through it offline. But just typically speaking, you got the ability to do the work for hire, and you still control your master and your publishing. You've got the ability to share that master if somebody produces it, and that can be any percentage that you might negotiate, but make sure it's in writing. And then occasionally a producer will obviously get some back-end points, and you negotiate that as well. But if you've already written it all the way out, I would be very, very careful with my percentage I was giving anyone. And I know somebody else may have some additional comments, but that's where I would be on it, and I'd be happy to help you offline.
Awesome. Hope that helps. And if you have any other questions, you can feel free to DM as well, Jenny. That's a really good question to bring to the stage. All right, let's shift to McKinney. How you doing, McKinney?
Hey, Eric, I'm doing good, man. Do I do an intro or should I just jump into the question?
If you got I was offering people to do intros, but I didn't realize people actually had questions. So for time's sake, go to the question.
It's almost 10.
Go to the question. Yeah.
Okay, so in a situation where you have a music supervisor that you're in contact with, like he's on the line per se, and he says that he's interested in the song and he likes the song, but he wants to change some things about the mix specifically, and or the production. My question is, would it be well, I guess it's a two-part question, but my question is, would it be inappropriate to respond with, hey, like, are you listening to it on, like, asking like, where are you listening to it on? Because especially if it's something that is very specific that they're asking, that you feel is something that you gave specific attention to, and that it might be something sonically from whatever device he's listening to it on his end. And also, in addition to that, do you think it's appropriate to ask, like, okay, yeah, I'm cool to change this if you'd like it, but then kind of transition the conversation to, would you and your company feel comfortable paying for what it would take to make these alterations?
I think those are two really good questions, McKinney. So I'll give you. For the second one, I'll give you some of my opinion how I would approach it, and then I would love to hear a music supervisor speak to some of your first point. But if I was pitching a song of my own and someone said, I like this but, or whatever but that followed, I see them as the client and I'm trying to do business with them and I'm giving them a product. If they're saying that my product is close to what they want and enough for them to respond back to me, but not exactly what they want, then I take the ownership to adjust. If I want to be in business with them, then I'm going to take the ownership to adjust my product so that it can serve their needs. Otherwise, then my product is not right for them. I'll go find another client. But if I want to be in business with them, it's on me to fix my product so that they can, hopefully if I fix it, that means they're going to buy it or pay for it or license it or what have you. So the compensation will come there because it's not a custom piece of work. And so if I'm shopping songs and someone's like, I like this, but I just wish the mix were here, or like for example, when we were at Durango recently, I presented a song that was kind of pop, and it had a great title, it was kind of promo, and supervisor was like, "Oh, I like this. I wish the singer's vocal was a little more alternative. This would make a great promo piece." And I could have just taken that and been like, "Okay, thanks for the feedback. We'll keep shopping around." But I'm actually looking at making a version like that because he was really excited about the possibility of that. But I wouldn't ask him to pay for that. You know what I mean? And then for what you said, your first point, which was if somebody is offering you feedback, would you feel comfortable, or how would they feel if you just wanted to double check, like, okay, I hear you're saying this about the mix. You're saying it's too much reverb. I don't necessarily hear it. Are you sure you're listening are you hearing any headphones? Jess, how would you react if somebody responded to your feedback with that question? Is there a way that it would either put you off, or is there a way that it would be more open? You have any thoughts on that, Jess?
I was distracted by a dog. What's the response to my feedback? Sorry,
I
guys.
love that. I just love that. I was distracted by a dog. So if McKinney's has pitched a song to a supervisor, and then the supervisor came back with kind of some mix and potentially production comments. And what McKinney was wondering was, would it be offensive because he was some of the mixed comments were things that he doesn't necessarily either agree with or hear, and he wonders, you know, what kind of speakers the person's listening on. Are they listening to headphones? And he wants to ask them that question, but is not sure would that be offensive.
Got it. I think a lot of it's going to come down to the person you're talking to, honestly, and how they're reacting in the first place. So, if you're interacting with me, if I'm giving you feedback because you pitched me, um, it's gonna be usually because you asked me for feedback for it, in a brief setting. I don't have enough time to normally respond. I don't even say thank you. I just hope that they notice I actually downloaded it. But in another kind of setting, if you're just pitching me to pitch me and like get to know the catalog, if I'm giving you feedback, um, I will usually personally stipulate um to take this with a grain of salt because it's always subjective. So like regardless of the scenario, whether you asked for it, they're giving it to you unprompted, I would just take it and try to it's hard to know it's hard to give more direct answer, I apologize, without like a actual setting. You know what I mean? Like the purpose that it was listening to and the reason for it because of the type of feedback you could get. So for me, I if I'm giving production feedback, um I would always acknowledge I'm listening on my headphones or it could be this. I think we even say that in the listening room for Control Camp on Clubhouse. Like just remember what I'm saying. I'm listening through my phone. I have no idea if this is one-sided. So I would try not to take it personally unless their criticisms don't make sense. And it seems more uh something that isn't really related to the music because if it's production wise, hopefully like what's being said to you, you can go, okay, I hear that. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it. If it's about the songwriting and the production, um, I would hope that they're communicating to you in a polite way. So if you don't agree with it, that's totally okay. Like, because what I like isn't necessarily what Mike's gonna like for a project. And it's also like, even with my producer, I'm gonna send them what the best of what I got pitched from all of you. It doesn't necessarily mean the producer is gonna agree with my top choices. And so sometimes I'll be like, "This is the perfect song." You'll be talking to me, "This is amazing," and then the producer doesn't pick it, and you're like, "What happened?" I'm gonna give you their response of why the song didn't work, and they are going to critique you, and hopefully the translation between the production team and you, the supervisor, translates it in a more musical and polite way than they happen to be sometimes. Um, I feel like I'm talking in circles, so I don't know. Someone stop me if I'm not doing a good job answering this. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is it's all subjective and you don't have to agree with what they're saying.
Just going to chime in on one thing, and I'm going to be absolutely honest. I think you need to assume that if somebody is a music supervisor and they're credible, they're going to be listening in a decent environment. And if they're going to comment on the mix, they're going to be listening on decent speakers or decent headphones. If they're not, bummer on them. But I think you might. I personally wouldn't care. I would laugh and say, make a joke out of it. Say, what do you mean the mono speaker on my Atari computer doesn't sound good? Um, but that's me. I think you risk offending somebody by doing that.
Yeah, there's a lot of egos on the other end in our world, unfortunately. So it is something to tread lightly with pushback.
I
And
agree
I
with
think you
Mike
could.
and Jess, and I think if you have an opportunity to license a piece and it's not going to cost you too much money or time, then just remix it the way they want it, and do your best to move it.
You can also get multiple. I mean, you don't have to, if you don't want to act on that one, McKinney, then just keep moving and pitch it to other people. When if you start getting the same feedback from different people, then take note of it. And if in the meanwhile you don't have to, if you're not sure, if you feel unsure, then you don't have to. You don't have to proceed. But I wouldn't address that person and say. I wouldn't question their listening. I would just say thank you. Be gracious about the feedback, and then if you choose to wait because you as the producer are unsure about it, then solicit other, keep pitching it, see what you get.
Jennifer had a good example of this like a week or two ago. Jennifer in the room. I'm pretty sure she was sharing a story where she was playing her song in a listening session, got feedback that kind of, didn't really necessarily agree with her. And then her song, she made like a minor changes or something. And I'm sorry if I'm not remembering this exactly correct, Jennifer, but I liked it. It was an inspiring story. But then she got her song signed to a licensing company. Right? Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah,
It's a
you're
perfect
absolutely
example.
right.
So like take it with I do mean it when I say take it with a grain of salt, because regardless of what they're listening on, it's very subjective. So like maybe this supervisor has like very strong opinions for it, but it might sit well with Mike and I, like, or Loren can go, you know what, if this doesn't work, maybe take these trumpets out. They're really distracting to me. And then you take the trumpets out, boom. But that's also what stems are for. So if it really like if it's that big of a deal, most of us are able to listen to a song, and if it's something with the production that we can hear, that we can easily mix it out, its stems are available. So if the song works besides that one thing, that's a whole different conversation.
Really good feedback. I hope that helps, McKinney. I think some really good insights you got.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. And Jared, closing this out. How are you doing? You wanted to do the intro, or did you have Jared, you're here to close us out. Did you want to do an intro, or did you have a question?
Thank you. I'm a stickler for time. I do want us to get to the after party. I know everybody's already
Oh
pre-gaming
no,
right
you're
now.
good. We
So,
plan for you. So yeah, do your thing. The stage is
okay.
yours, man. I don't want to rush you.
All right, great. Thank you. No, I would just wanted to know if there's a untapped genre for sync, like that is kind of a need, but nobody's really producing it. I want to know if there's a such thing as that.
Explicitive based Christmas songs. We've already covered this today. This is the new genre. We're nobody's doing this.
That's what's being looked for. Is
No,
people looking for that?
no,
Hey,
you weren't
chill.
here earlier. This is sorry. There was a joke earlier when we were talking about Christmas songs, and I was just being funny. So it's, my bad. No, seriously, honestly, I mean, we could open it up to the floor, but you could ask that question and get a bunch of different responses. Every single composer producer is trying to find the thing that is most least that is most in demand and that they don't have enough of. But since we do have some soups on stage, and people who are actually looking, Jess and Paige is not a soup, but you're in that space. Atik, Are there things or sounds that you do not have enough of right now that you're like, oh, I wish I just had a whole bunch of this? Is there something that's quantifiable that you can identify?
Uh, I feel like the videos I work on are so straightforward and obvious that if I'm looking for something I don't have, it's going to be a really random kind of thing. I'm sorry. Not a great answer to your
No, that we
question.
want the truth, so that's good. Lauren or Atik, any other perspectives?
For ads, it changes so much day to day, but I have to say, when lately I'm looking at like country trap or hip hop or country remix stuff, whatever that genre is, uh, I'm not finding a lot of great stuff.
Oh
It
my
doesn't come
gosh,
up a
Mike.
lot.
There is this really, really, really fun country hip hop band based in Scotland that I met because of Clubhouse, and I'm going to find them and send them to you. If that's because I was like, guys, I don't know
Please,
how to help
please.
you because this is so specific. I don't know what it would work for, but it's just so interesting. Huh. There you go. Okay.
That is
Oh, so
cool.
Beautiful.
it was legit. It
I've
wasn't
gone
like
down some rabbit holes in the genre and thinking, damn, I wish I had something better to pitch for some ideas. Thank you.
so. This
You
was
got it.
it wasn't like country period trap. It was like country trap like all together. Like is that what we were like Lil Nas X kind of?
You like hip hop, yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
got.
Yep.
I don't
Absolutely.
have any of that in my catalog at all.
I
So
have some. I have to pull it up. We've put some with some libraries, but I find some that's not signed. So
I feel like I've heard requests for like Latin music. I feel like that comes up, and it seems like people are kind of looking to find that flavor, but it's like it's there, but it's kind of hard. It like escapes people where to sign it, easily in one stop, all that kind of stuff.
at Durango, there were a few different requests for Latin trap I saw. Anyway, Jared, hope that helps. It's not a specific answer, but you kind of have to, it's really more about going to the specific soups maybe and seeing kind of what their individual needs are, but that's going to vary per person.
That's all. It's all good. I just hope Jess links Mike up with the right plugs, and something happens from this question, and that goes up. That'll be great.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Appreciate you.
Clubhouse is a magical space, I tell you. Magical space.
I agree. I agree. All right, Daraj, let's wrap us up as we transition.
Yeah, definitely. This is a really cool night. It was a historical too, because we had had some time at the end to just kind of allow people to come up and share and just introduce themselves. So that was it's really dope. I appreciate everybody that's kind of been in and out, and everybody who's here still. Atik, Mike, Jess, Clint, Loren, Paige. We value you all. We appreciate you all just coming week in and week out and just offering so much to our community. Yeah, and I think this was a really cool one. I really appreciated kind of the talk at the top of the hour. It's just a reminder too for everybody who's unaware. These rooms are available as well. If you go to our website, our room replays, controlcamp.com, we have our Patreon, and you'll get access to not only this room, but all of our past rooms and talks. And it's just a lot of information there in case you're really looking to go deep into space and learn more. So check us out over at controlcamp.com. And yeah, I'm thrilled how the night went, man. Eric, I'll kick it back to you.
Cool. Now it's been an awesome conversation. Thank you, everyone. If you're able to stick around and you're following the camp, which means you've clicked on that icon, the green icon above my picture that looks like a house, the after party will show up. We do not discuss music in that room. We just kind of get to know each other, chill, and have a cool convo. And we'll be in there for a little bit today. So come through, poke your head in, and say hey. Otherwise, we will see you back here Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, where we'll be doing our listening session. If you want to have a song of yours considered in the listening session, then go to controlcamp.com and click the link that says Submit Music. And you can submit one song. We'll listen to it and give you some feedback from a sync perspective. Otherwise, we'll see you either Saturday or next Wednesday. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. And if you're hanging with us, we'll see you next door. Thanks, Atik, Mike, Jess, Clint, Loren, Paige. Appreciate all y'all.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Thanks,
y'all.
Eric.
Pleasure,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you for having this.